This is the new Volkswagen Polo. Well, I say new, it's more heavily revised. Anyway, it's a little bit like a pair of Levi's jeans because it's reasonably stylish, it's comfortable and affordable. It's just not the most exciting choice of trouser. It's not like a snazzy pair of Boss slacks, is it? You might be wondering why the heck I've used Levi's as a reference, because Levi's is an American company, which is true, but the founder, Levi Strauss, he was a German, yeah? Just an excuse really, isn't it, for me to do a German accent again. Anyway, in this video I'm going to talk you through the updates that Volkswagen have made to this car on the outside, the inside, the technology. I'm going to take it for a drive. Anyway, I'm Matt Watson and you're watching CarWow. Let's start this video by talking about the design of the Volkswagen Polo. So the big difference compared to the previous car, tail lights. They're more Golf-like, makes it seem a bit more grown up. Bit more expensive. You also have the Polo badge here, slightly different font than before. They've redesigned the rear bumper as well, and look at these cutouts here. Not so obvious on this one, but you can actually get this with chrome surround, so it's like some horrendous fake exhaust nonsense. Moving down the side, there's less changes. There's some new alloy wheel designs, and the alloy wheels range from 15 inches up to 17 inches on the GTI, but other than that, it's the same as before. Oh, apart from the fact you can get a black roof now on the car for a bit of contrast. Also, if you think this car is riding too high, you can actually get sport suspension on it, so it lowers it slightly. Anyway, at the front, you get some new lights. They also just point into the grille a little bit more. Big difference though is this, look. You actually have a daytime running light LED strip right across the front of the car. Also, the lower bumper is slightly redesigned as well compared to the previous generation model. And on this one, it looks like it's been styled on the robot Bender from Futurama. Can you see that? Anyway, starting price of this new Polo is £18,000. Here on the inside of the Polo, there are a couple of major changes over the previous version. You get a new steering wheel, and it's now got the new Volkswagen logo. If I hadn't been told, I would not have known. You also get a new climate control system here with the slidey things that you get in the ID3. Though thankfully on this car, they've figured out that they should probably put some backlighting behind the slider so that you can actually see what you're doing in the dark. Now the entry-level car actually just has old-fashioned like knob control, and I prefer an old-fashioned knob. It's easier to use. Where an old-fashioned knob is a bit odd is here with the infotainment system. So this is the mid-level system, and it's a mixture of touch buttons like that and touch screen, and then a weird dial for tuning the radio and the volume. You can get a bigger screen than that. And the entry-level car has a smaller screen, which looks like this. Now, the old Polo did get a digital driver display, but only as an option. Now, it is standard across the range, which is quite good, because it's very easy to use and it has various displays and views and will provide you with all the information you could possibly need. Another thing that you need to know about this car is that these seats, they're standard on all but the entry-level car. I don't mean that you don't get any seats in the entry-level car, it's just that you don't get these sport seats, and they are nice. They hold you in place pretty well. In fact, the driving position in this Polo is good, and plenty of adjustment in the seating position itself. Look, I can jack up the seat as well. It's good if you're short. One thing that hasn't changed in this Polo is the quality. So the Volkswagen ID3, which is a later car, just doesn't feel as expensive inside as this Polo, because in the Polo you get soft touch materials on the dash and even here, and generally the feel of stuff is good. You even get a central armrest, which is a bit of a novelty in a small hatchback these days. It's also got loads and loads of storage cupboards, so there's a decent storage area there. You've got USB-C inputs there for your mobile devices. Decent sized glove box there. You have a place for your sunglasses, and obviously it's a bit rubberized on the inside so you don't scratch your lenses. You've got big sunshades and large vanity mirrors, which are illuminated, and large door bins, which can hold a big bottle. Anyone who says, why do you go on about big bottles and door bins? Believe me, a lot of the people I know, including myself, like to have a nice big bottle of water to keep hydrated on longer drives. I think that's all you need to know. Let's move into the back. While the Polo may be considered as being a small car, here in the back seats, it's surprisingly spacious. I mean, look at the amount of knee room I've got. Headroom's really good as well. People over 6 foot will be fine. You can also stretch your feet out a little bit under the seats in front, and the footwells are nice and spacious as well. That's really good. Something that's new in here though. Look, we've now got USB-C ports for charging your mobile devices. Yay, moving with the times. Another thing I like about this car is Icefix anchor points. They're just uncovered, really easy to locate a baby seat on those, and there's enough space back here that you can even fit a bulky rear facing seat in the back of the car, no hassle at all. As with the back seats, the boot on the Polo is pretty large for a small car. 351 litres of space. Anyhow, what I like about the boot is this. There's not really much of a load lip to lift stuff over. You've got a storagey area there, hooks where you can hang things off. I like this as well. So you want to get to the underfloor storage. Those little bits there hold this cover up. And then you've got this empty spare wheel well, which you could put stuff in. Probably better putting a spare wheel in there. It's £100 optional extra. You'll be thankful of that if you get a puncture. Now there is a problem with this particular car though. Look at this, right? In fact, I'm going to show you by first find down the rear seat so you can see, like, continuous load floor, so it's easy to slide things in. But what you normally want to do is, to create more boot space, you might want to lower this. And you can in the Polo normally, but not on this particular model because it's fitted with the upgraded Beat stereo. And then you get this, I don't know what it is it a woofer or an amp in the back of the car, which eats into the space, which means you can't lower this Porsche yourself, and you also can't then fit the load cover underneath there. And that drives me mad. And here's some other things about the Polo which make me mad. Volkswagen have tried to be all cool man by making the cup holder shape like an octagon, but the effect of that is that it doesn't hold your bottle quite as tightly as it could do, so you do risk spillage, especially if you extend the armrest. I mean, oh dear, look at that. I'm sorry, but those drum brakes not only look old-fashioned, but they're ugly as hell. I mean, come on Volkswagen, surely you can fit disc brakes to the back of the car. Look where Volkswagen has rather inconveniently put the voice control button for this car. It's over there. Normally you have them on the steering wheel because the idea is you don't have to take your eyes off the road to operate it, because that's the whole idea behind voice commands. Yeah? You're going to have to, if you're going to press that button, aren't you? And look what happens when you press it on this car. You can purchase an activation code to enable voice control in the shop. So Volkswagen have gone and copied the very worst of the internet. An in-app purchase. Brilliant. There's only one non-cost colour available on the Polo, and that's a flat grey. Every other paint scheme you have to pay extra for. This purple is £610. Do you know what? I really want to chill, so I'd love to just rest my arm on the window ledge with the window open. Oh no, the rear windows don't go all the way down. That has thwarted my plans for added comfort. Thankfully, this car has plenty of cool features to help make up for all this. Here's 5. You can get a built-in dash camera for the car, so if you're involved in the accident, you can use the footage to prove your innocence. However, you can upgrade that further to a surround view camera system which operates even when you're parked. So if someone tries to break into your car, it'll notify you. You can see what's happening on your mobile phone remotely. If your IVF round was a little bit more successful than you initially hoped, and you end up with surprise triplets, don't worry, because the Polo has 3 Icefix anchor points, 2 in the back, but a bonus set here on the front seat as well. This may be a small affordable hatchback, but every Polo, apart from the very entry level version, gets VW's IQ light, so dot matrix LEDs, so they can blank out part of their beam so you don't dazzle oncoming drivers. The Polo has a dedicated runner for the rear seat belt, which holds it in place so that when you fold the back seats down, the seat belt doesn't snag on them like it does in so many other cars, and that just drives me absolutely crazy. It makes me go, ah! 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 Sorry. Here's another nice Volkswagen-y attention to detail thingy-majig. Look, the way you have these little rubber veins on the weight, which keeps the cord taut for the load cover. And it's got those veins because when it starts rattling around the cabin and bouncing about when you go around the corner, it damps the weight so it doesn't make a sound, which would really get on your tits. Before I drive the car, let's talk about the engines. So the entry level engine is a 1 litre 3-cylinder naturally aspirated petrol with just 80 horsepower. You don't want that because you wouldn't be able to pull the skin off a rice pudding. Then you can have a natural gas engine. It's a 1 litre again, but this time it's got 90 horsepower. Then there's this engine here, which is a 1 litre turbo petrol with 95 horsepower, which you can get with a 5-speed manual or a 7-speed automatic as an option. Then there's a 110 horsepower version of that engine, which you can only get with the 7-speed automatic. And finally, at the top of the range, there is the Polo GTI with a 2 litre turbocharged petrol engine. Once again, that's a 7-speed automatic only. One of the good things about the Volkswagen Polo is that it has a big car feel to the way it drives. When you're going on the motorway at speed, you don't get much wind noise or tyre noise like you do from some other small cars. It also feels really solid and stable. That's one of the great things about it. Now, the engine in this car, the 95 horsepower, is just about enough in terms of punch for keeping up with motorway traffic and overtaking without too much hassle. It is a bit of a shame it doesn't have an extra gear though. 5 gears for a manual gearbox is a bit lame. You feel like you need an extra one on the motorway. So the 7-speed automatic is a better choice. The only problem with that is that when you're going around town and you're manoeuvring at very slow speeds, it's a little bit jerky at times. However, for the rest of the time, it is better than the manual. Not that the manual has any problems in terms of the gear shift. It's got a nice, precise feel to it, and the pedals are all nice and light. Speaking of which, shows the steering, which is good for going around roundabouts and when you're just pottering around town. Now, when you get on a faster road and the road gets a bit twisty, this Polo, even though you've got light steering and it doesn't really have that much feel through it, it still holds the road really well. I wouldn't say that it's a sporty feeling car, but it's definitely competent on the twisty bits, and that's really all you can expect for a car like this. Now, if you buy a Polo, chances are you'll be spending quite a lot of time just driving it around town, and it is good around town. One of the main reasons is the suspension. It's good at dealing with bumps. You don't feel them. Occasionally over really rough surfaces, you do get it fidgeting ever so slightly. It's not the smoothest small car, but it's one of the smoothest small cars. All the control weights are good as well, so the brake pedal, you don't find that it's like really overly sensitive like certain French cars can be. It's just nicely measured, makes it easy to drive. Visibility is good as well. Decent view at the front, decent view at the back, good door mirrors, and that just makes it easier when you're trying to get through gaps in traffic or when you're driving in between cars, when you're passing people. Just gives you confidence. Now, one of the things that you can get for it is stiffened suspension. I don't think you need it. If you want a sporty Polo, get the GTI. Otherwise, you're best off just sticking with having it as comfortable as possible. There is one thing about it though that I'm not so keen on, and that is the fact that the engine, because it's a 3-cylinder, you do get quite a lot of vibrations from it, especially when it's stationary, and that does annoy me ever so slightly. And when you rev it as well, it goes like it's basically misfiring. It's one of my only complaints, really. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Volkswagen Polo? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should shortlist the Polo. You know, it might not be the most stylish nor the most practical small car, but it's still an absolutely brilliant all-rounder. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Let me know some other videos you'd like to see in the comments below. If you click on those windows there, you can watch some more videos. And if you click on that box there, you can find out how you can sell your car through CarWow to get a great price for it.